Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I am your host, Evan Abrams, and I'm joined, as always, by Brandon Anderson for some best bets for NFL Week 3, but we will get to those bets shortly. I have a few fun trends, some talking points. We'll get Brandon's thoughts on these. I'll try to get through these quickly. So, number one, and it has to be the early storyline of the NFL season, is favorites. Favorites of 4 points or more, 12-0 straight up entering Thursday Night Football. But more interesting to me, all 12 teams also 12-0 in a 6-point teaser. So doing their job, dominating, at least early season. And we have 8 games with that big of a spread right now for week 3. So that's number one. Number two, the title of week 3, and I know Brandon's going to talk a lot about this, should be probably called We Don't Know Anything, because since 2017, 0-2 teams are 37-19-1 against the spread, 66% when facing non-0-2 teams. There are also 8 this week. Quickly, Miami, Jets, Houston, Chicago, New Orleans, Cleveland, Carolina, Tennessee. And I'll leave you with this before we bring in Brandon, because I just think this note's fun. The 0-2 Chiefs are currently hovering around a 6.5-point road favorite in the 0-2 Giants on Sunday Night Football. Since 1990, we've actually never had a team with no wins and 2 or more losses close as a road favorite of 7 points or more. The biggest 2 favorites at 6.5 were 2022, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They won in the Jets 27-12, and 1983. Cowboys and Troy Aikman won 17-10. We've only had 4 teams close 6 or higher, all 4-1. So voting decent for the Chiefs. Brandon, anything on any of those?
I mean, off the top of my head, those 2 quarterbacks you mentioned, 93 Cowboys, I believe that's the year Emmitt Smith was a holdout the first 2 games, and I think they go to the Super Bowl that year.
Yep.
And the 2022 Bengals, I think, also went to the Super Bowl and started 0-2. And they're the, one of the few teams to make that run, did not finish the job there, if I got the year right. So yeah, you mentioned the 8 teams, the we don't know anything. I'm going to jump in with my own trends here on what I call kitchen sink week. And I'll let you do the ad read after that, but let's just hit all the trends right at the top. So it's kitchen sink week for me too, Evan. I went 1 in a billion last week. So I'm right there with all the teams you listed off. Here's what kitchen sink week is about. Similar stat to you. Since 2010 for mine, 0-2 teams week 3 against not 0-2 teams, 59, 35, and 2. So 63% ATS. If you go season by season in that stretch, if you just bet every one of those kitchen sink teams, so you're throwing everything but the kitchen sink out. At my house, the water heater too, got another busted water heater going on. So you're giving everything you've got. Every season except one has had at least 500 or within 1 game of 500. So the trend basically never busts. Basically what's happening here is we're getting overconfident, right? We have 2 weeks of data and we think that we know what we know. And then week 3 usually tells us we don't. And the data backs it up. From Klevta on Twitter, week 3 is the second biggest upset week of the NFL season over the last about 15 years. We have 10 straight seasons that favorites have won less games than their pregame win expectancy. We have 8 straight years with at least one favorite upset of 5 points or more. So you mentioned that at the top. We haven't had that big upset yet. The last 2 years, we've had 4 favorites of a touchdown or more get upset in week 3. So that's those 8 teams. By the time folks listen to this, one of them, the Dolphins, will have already played on Thursday night. We'll get back to kitchen sink. I am heavily leaning into the kitchen sink trends this week. And I have a lot of signals within, things like it's better if it's a division game. It's better if it's a public side or if the total is low, things like that. I went through, I ranked all 8 of those teams by kitchen sink status on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we'll jump into my picks after the ad read.
Yeah, the teaser here, we got a lot of underdogs coming up. All right, the NFL season is underway, and to get the most out of the award-winning Action app, you'll want to be an Action Pro subscriber, because only Pro subscribers get real-time pick alerts from experts like Brandon Anderson, Chris Raybon, myself, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our Pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. To celebrate football's return, we've got a special offer. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code POD20, POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro. Use the promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. All right, time for some bets. Week 3 style. If you want to tail some of these bets, look for the quick slip link in the podcast and video descriptions, or go to actionnetwork.com/betnow, BETNOW, bet now. Super easy. They're all sitting there. Just click them one by one. All right, Brandon, kitchen sink week. So you talked about that. You talked about the trends. Now go through the teams.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you right at the top, we're going heavy on kitchen sink, and it is going to feel ugly because that's really what you need to do in week 3. Week 3 is about betting against your own overconfidence. So I'm going to tell you in a couple of these teams why I think it seems like a dumb pick, but then why we need to do it anyway. So let's start with one right off the top. Give me the Panthers +6 against the Falcons at BetMGM. So this line on Sunday morning was Atlanta -2.5. So we moved past the key number all the way to 6 at some books. I think we even hit a 6.5 a couple times. Probably not going to get there again. By my numbers, I think the initial line was about right. And now, of course, my numbers thought Atlanta was going to lose to the Vikings on Sunday night. So I had to go back and say, okay, I'm off there, way off. And so I upgraded Atlanta big numbers across the board. I still think that this should be around a field goal, and we're getting a big move to 6. Now, I think the line move is because Carolina's offensive line has a lot of injuries. And that's a problem. Austin Corbett is out. Robert Hunt is out. Ekwonu is banged up. It's not great. I don't love that. The Panthers' offense has already been not great. And Atlanta's defense suddenly looks amazing. Their pressure rate Sunday night was awesome. They did that against a banged-up line, but that's what Carolina has in this game also. And by the way, on the other side of things, we saw Sunday night Atlanta run all over Minnesota. Well, Carolina's run defense, particularly their whole defense, but especially against the run, has not been good. So all of that sounds like Atlanta. That's the case for Atlanta, but it's only 2 games so far. And this is about kitchen sink and not being overconfident in the results. Zoom out a little bit. It's a division rivalry. These teams have split the season series 5 straight years. And it's not like the Panthers have been good at any point during that stretch, really. 7 of the last 10 one-score games. One score will do it. I'm not taking the money line here. Just keep it close. Bryce Young, you want to go through the back door again like last week? That's fine by me. Falcons are the number 2 defense by DVOA. Is that real, or is that a little too much just yet? They got a 3rd and a 4th round rookie in the secondary starting, playing well. We'll see if it holds up. No AJ Terrell for Atlanta. I think that's a big loss. Ted McMillan, rookie for the Panthers, looks like a star already. 100 yards last week for them. And really, this pick is about the kitchen sink stuff. So for me, I told you I rated them all on a scale of 1 to 10. This is an 8.5 for me. This is my highest kitchen sink spot of the week. That's why we're starting with it. Some within the kitchen sink trends, some further numbers. If it's a division game, 75% ATS. If it's a total under 44, 75% ATS as well. If the opponent scored under 27 points both games, 71% hit rate. Again, we just need to keep it close. The Falcons aren't putting up huge point totals here. They run a lot. That moves the clock and keeps it closer. The Panthers also are a public team. They're getting about 2/3 of the bet. That bodes well within these kitchen sink trends. And the Falcons as a 1-1 team also make 70% ATS. So I don't like it either. It's gross. It's not going to feel good. That exactly is why we have to play it. So Panthers +6 to start at our kitchen sink week.
Yeah, I think the story here is the Carolina O-line injuries, the Terrell injury on Atlanta's side. I mean, and I think the story is Atlanta's defense held up pretty well. Top 8 blitz rate, 7 sacks. They've looked very formidable, which they haven't in previous years. I think the only thing that you might like, and I like Carolina too, kind of waiting for the 6. I'm going to track some picks tonight, and I think that probably will be one of them. But opposing teams, 4 of 9 in the red zone versus Carolina. Atlanta's been struggling there as well, so maybe they settle for some field goals. That's how they keep it tight. So I like Carolina. All right, what's up next?
Up next, another gross one. I'll tell you right now, one of these 2 is probably going to go sideways and make us feel like absolute idiots for betting it. But we're betting them. Give me the Jets, Jets, +7 at the Bucks at DraftKings. This time the offensive line injuries help us. So on Tampa Bay, we still don't know about Tristan Wirfs. I would really love for him not to play for this pick, but the whole right side of the line is out. Luke Gedeke is out indefinitely. My guy, NDSU, Cody Mauch is out. We got to learn how to pronounce his name, everyone. Cody Mauch, he's a star, but he's out for the season now. Those 2 guys with Wirfs out also, that's a full point downgrade on the spread. Not just from Wirfs, that's additional to worst because you get at offensive line and cornerback in particular, cluster injuries can really bring your team down. And that's 3 starters from what's supposed to be a top 5 offensive line that look like they're missing. That's a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield. Also, Kalijah Kancey on the other side of the line. He's out for the season for Tampa Bay. So a lot of stuff in the trenches this week. Those big boys up front, we know how much I like to give stock there. So with the Jets, they got an offensive injury as well. Justin Fields. Okay. Is Tyrod Taylor a downgrade from Justin Fields? Is Tyrod Taylor an upgrade from Justin Fields? I think in this matchup for us, he might be. I think you limit the long-term ceiling with him, but you're going to cut the mistakes down. You get a better passer. Justin Fields was not passing well at all last week, so it's not much of a high bar. But I didn't love the matchup here. The Jets are the run-heaviest team, and the Bucs' run defense, Vita Vea, great. Okay, well, Tyrod diversifies a little bit, maybe. Maybe we get a little bit more passing that way. This does look like a weather game potentially as well, some wind and rain. And I think for Tampa, it's an obvious letdown spot. You got a short week off Monday night, huge back-to-back comeback wins down the stretch, and now it's just the Jets. So 7 points is just a lot for me. DVOA, you can't use too much yet this early in the year, but these teams are 19th and 21st by DVOA. So not really that far apart, and that's about where my numbers make it too. Jets special teams, big advantage. I make this around Bucs -2. So it's not going to feel good at all, but it's another kitchen sink spot. It is my 4th rated kitchen sink spot. And one extra trend to point out here, and this is actually for a handful of the teams this year, the single best indicator within the kitchen sink trends is a team that is coming off a loss of 20 points or more. The teams we feel the absolute worst about, that's when you have to buy in. Those teams since 2010, 15-2 ATS, 88% hit rate. So this is a great spot to back the Jets. This is the top luck rankings play of the week. Nick Giffen says weeks 3 and 4 are the best times to play luck rankings, side 75% hit rate there. So this is about the spot. This is about the number. This is a bet against overconfidence, Jets +7, and a little nibble on the money line. Since 2018, 0-2 road dogs, 11-15 straight up. That's pretty good for 0-2 road underdogs. 46% ROI. If you look at dogs of 5 or more points in that span, 7-9, almost 500, 80% ROI. Remember, 4 upsets of a touchdown or more the last 2 years. Could this be another one? Jets +280 on the money line as part of your bet as well. It's gross. We're doing it.
Yeah, we just bet with torture here. I'm on the Jets too. I like the 7. I'm probably going to play it as well. I'll give you 2 points. Number 1, Tampa Bay does play Philly next week, which I definitely think is a look-ahead spot for them and a game they're looking forward to. You know, how much it matters, it's up for opinion. I think the second thing here is what I like in my underdogs is people who don't turn over the ball. That's how you stay in games. Yep. Tyrod Taylor, last play as a starter in 2023, a 1.1% turnover-worthy throw rate that year, lowest in the NFL. Before that, in 2021, 2.7%, third lowest. I mean, he just doesn't turn it over. He might turn it over 3 times, but I'm going with the data here that tells me that he's going to keep me in the game. So I like the Jets as well. All right, this next one, to me, this is when you talk kitchen sink, to me, this is the number 1 need a win for an 0-2 team. So what do you like here with Jags Texans?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texans. Give me the Texans +2. Did not work out for us Monday night, but it looked like it was going to right up until it didn't. That's kind of how the Texans do things, right? They look good right up until they don't in the second half. I still think the wrong team is favored here. I still have this Texans by 2, not Texans underdog by 2. And I think this is, again, overreaction. The Jaguars do look pretty good so far. I like what I see from Liam Cohen, Campanelli, the new defensive coordinator. I feel good about where they're going. But let's remember, that's against Bryce Young and mostly Jake Browning so far. So Jacksonville's defense looks pretty good, top 12 run and pass so far, but that's against Browning and Bryce Young. Offensive line for Jacksonville, they've got 3 guys rated top 5 of their position by PFF. That's great because you've been playing Carolina and Cincinnati. But how about Will Anderson? How about Danielle Hunter? How about these Houston guys? Can you hold up against those guys too? We'll see. The Texans have dominated this division rivalry. They've won 12 out of the last 14. including 7 straight wins in Jacksonville, where this game is going to be. So to me, this is a team I was high on into the year. The Texans, they've disappointed. The offense, I don't love yet. I do not love the offense. If we did, they'd be favorites in this game. So I still like the defense, still like the special teams. Just can't move off the priors that quick to make Jacksonville the favorite here. And again, kitchen sink spot, like you said, we know the Chiefs have to win, but we know the Chiefs will win against the Giants. And they're playing two 0-2 teams. But among the 8 kitchen sink teams, which the Chiefs and Giants don't count since they're facing each other, you're right. I think this is the team that's like, man, we thought we were a Super Bowl team. We can't go 0-3. We can't lose to Jacksonville here. This is my number 3 kitchen sink spot for the week. Again, division, great spot for kitchen sink, 75%. Division, Jaguars 1-1, not scoring a ton. Houston was favored last week. That's good for the trend. Jacksonville was an underdog last week. That's good for the trend. Houston also is 0-2 ATS. So week 3, road underdogs that are 0-2 against the spread, 61% in week 3. And if they're coming off a loss by 7 or more, 64%. This is a trends bonanza for me. Houston, 12-1 on trends. We fade Trevor Lawrence outdoors. We fade Lawrence as a favorite. We also fade in week 3, home favorites coming off a loss. 34% ATS, another Jaguars spot fade. So it's not just kitchen sink. There are other things here as well. Texans, +2. I don't mind if you just prefer to play the money line. I think that's around the same. I think the escalator here is still giving Texans a chance in the division. +300 at FanDuel. I still like them in the division. One kitchen sink spot we're not playing is the other 2 teams in the division. But Tennessee, home against Indy, if they get that one and the Texans get this one, we're kind of right back at a near reset, Houston going forward. So I like the division odds at +300 as well.
Yeah, Houston, I mean, just be kind of funny. Houston 0-3 at home against Tennessee next week. I know that goes against your bet, but that is who they play next week. I think there's a lot of negative data and trends around both of these teams when it comes to Lawrence as a favorite and Stroud on the road and toss-up games. Like, nothing is really positive. I think when you look, the only thing I'll say is maybe we'll turn around after this game is played and say maybe Houston first half. Like maybe they come out strong and then do their thing. Might be the play here as an underdog. I do like this. Stroud scored 21 plus in all 4 starts against Jacksonville. So as long as their defense shows up, I think they're going to be in it no matter what. Here's the fun one. Last year, underdogs in AFC South games were 11-1 against the spread. Pretty stupid. Since 2019, it's 63%, best of any division. It's because the good teams in this division aren't good. And I think it's just that's what you find week to week. All right, next game here, Bears and Cowboys. Honestly, this is the definition of a tape gear pick. Like, I feel like you can find an angle kind of on both sides. But my question to you before you even give your answers, how do you even think Chicago is going to stop Dak? Like, based off what you've seen. So kind of go into it.
And how do I, I'm taking the Bears. Bears +1.5 against the Cowboys at DraftKings. How do I bet the Bears again after what they have done to me the last 2 weeks? This to me, I'll bet the Panthers and the Jets anytime this week. The Bears are the one that make me personally the sickest after all my Ben Johnson stock. Look, this is not Bears Island. I have in my article this week on the 0-2 teams, I looked at all these teams and playoff futures. I'm out. I have abandoned Bears Island. I don't believe in this team long-term this season, but that doesn't mean we can't bet week to week or bet the spot. So that is what this is. I downgraded Chicago across the board. I downgraded them at running back. They cannot run the ball to save their lives right now. A little bit at offensive line. I downgraded at linebacker and corner. Jalen Johnson is out indefinitely. Kyler Gordon, the slot corner, also questionable still. TJ Edwards, the linebacker, questionable. We've seen the last couple of weeks, the Bears have kind of hung around or looked good for a while, and then the injuries start, and then the defense falls apart. I factored all those things in, downgrading the Bears a whole heap. I still make this in Chicago -4. I still have the Bears the clear favorite on the other side of the key number. Like, it feels terrible at Chicago. But 3 quarters down against Minnesota, 17-6 Chicago leads. Then it went very bad. Last week against the Lions, 7-point game until almost halftime. Then Tesla has the crazy catch. They decide to rule him inbounds. They decide to keep the clock. Like, weird stuff happens. Lions score 2 seconds till the half, and then it just the Lions put their foot to the pedal, and the Bears let go of the rope. And I think both games we've seen them kind of let go of the string late as guys got hurt in particular. And I don't love the Bears defense. Dennis Allen, my man, you're supposed to be part of the package deal. It's been terrible. I still think Dallas defense might even be worse than what Chicago's look like. We'll come back to that with the prop later. And of course, for all Ben Johnson's failures so far, it's still Ben Johnson versus Brian Schottenheimer. And based on as high as I was on one coaching staff, as low as I was on the other, I'm literally my lowest ranked coaching staff for Dallas. That still is a pretty big spot for me. And in the end, this is a begrudging Bears pick because the Bears are my number 2 rated kitchen sink spot. Nothing to do with the teams when I'm ranking these. They're fully how do the trends look. 63% ATS, kitchen sink since 2010. Bears are public, 68% for that. The Cowboys are 1-1, 70% ATS for that. And then the Bears hit my 2 best kitchen sink trends, which is they have scored at least 17 points both games. That's good. We're going to need to score some points, especially in this game. There are going to be points here. 77% ATS there. And like the Jets, they're coming off a 20-plus point loss. So this is, again, the ultimate buy low spot. 15-2 of their 88% ATS. I don't know how they stop Dak. I'm hoping that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, who I think honestly is playing relatively well, better than people are giving credit for. I think it's the run game, some of the other stuff, the defense being so bad, that has been the problem. But I'm just hoping the Bears do enough to match. And this is what week 3 is about. It's disgusting bets that make you feel sick to your stomach. Is the ultimate buy low spot. It's not a double down on the Bears. No escalators, no playoffs or division bets. It's just a home underdog against an opponent that's really not that great. Bears +2.
Yeah, it's a pick'em game. You can get a point here either way. I think the biggest issue for Chicago is 7 touchdowns allowed, passing touchdowns allowed, 5 in the second half. So it seems to me like they're getting a little tired. Teams are taking advantage potentially. 9.9 yards per attempt just feels stupid, except for the fact that New England's allowing 10.3. So after that, you understand the concept here. And so, I mean, the only other thing I could say is Dallas look ahead potentially. Like they got Green Bay on Sunday Night Football at home next week. Pretty
the
big
Micah
game.
Parsons game.
Yeah, the Micah Parsons game. Like there's a lot riding on that game, and that is next week. I talked look ahead before with Tampa Bay, but this one's just as big. So that might be something to kind of.
By the way, I misspoke. I said Bears +2. I think the best number out there is a +1.5. But again,
yeah.
It's around that number. Just shop around, use the action app, and get the best number you can find.
All right, last best bet before we getting into our lightning round. So I think this game is actually kind of fascinating because we see it in gambling every year, but you've got Green Bay laying like 8.5, 9 in Cleveland this week, and you kind of understand the circumstances around both teams, but you seem to like the total. So what did you do there?
Yeah, so the Browns are the kitchen sink side here. This would be my number 5 kitchen sink spot. So we bet my top 4, and that's where I'm cutting us off here. Instead, I'm going to go with the under. So under 41.5. And I think really that is sort of leaning into the kitchen sink idea here because I think going under is the only way the Browns hang around in this game. We know about the Packers defense. We just talked about Micah Parsons. Flacco's in trouble, man. I do not feel great for Flacco with the line that they've got protecting against as good as the Packers defense has been. But the Browns defense has been pretty good, too. I did not expect them to be this good, but the rookies have been great up front. Graham and Carson Schwessinger have been great right out of the gates. They're top 10 by DVOA. Not much data there, but pretty good. Number 1 run defense so far. Number 3 success rate. They've allowed the 7th fewest explosives. I think that's very important in this particular matchup. The Packers can kind of run hot and cold, what we've seen so far. Jordan Love's bombing down the field, and I love it. It's a lot of fun to watch just as a neutral, but the Packers, they're 4th in explosives. That means when those hit, they're great, but if the Browns can hopefully limit explosives, you can kind of go 3 and out real quick on some of those drives, and if the run game's not there, you're not moving the ball, suddenly, we kind of run short on offense for a while. So the main thing the kitchen sink trends like about Cleveland is just the general lower scoring nature of the game here. It's a windy looking game. It looks like 10-mile-an-hour winds. Windy unders the last 4 seasons, 62% to the under. It's our lowest total on the board. about the same as the Saints Seahawks. That's another kitchen sink one. Packers, as good as they've been, have only scored 27 both games. So that's not a huge number. And then another trend for you, totals that are between 39 and 44 that drop at least a point. Usually that tells us that that is being bet in the right direction. 56% to the under in that spot. So I like Packers, Browns, under 41.5. That one is dropping a bit, so I'd go ahead and grab it now. And I'll say this too. One other thing about the kitchen sink spot. I looked at a Packers Seahawks teaser. I mentioned both of those games. You basically get those both below the key number. Just finish and win the game. I'm going to stay away. Kitchen sink says these big upsets can strike where you least expect them to. I don't know if that's the Browns or the Saints, but I'm going to stay away. What I really want, and keep an eye on the app for this because we don't have lines popped yet, but I want Browns running back receptions. That's what I want here. Probably some escalators on Jerome Ford and Quinshon Judkins, the rookie. Packers play heavy zone. They've given up huge running back receptions this year and last year. Browns top 5 running back target rate. That would have been my top prop on the podcast today, but no lines yet. I think as we're kind of waiting to see who maybe is announced as the running back starter. So keep an eye. Those will probably hit the app or maybe the written version of this article before Sunday.
Yeah, so this is down a full point since open at 42.5. Look ahead was 43.5. But I think, and I looked this up because I was looking at games since 2023 to land on 40, 41, and 42. So 40's been 16, 41's been 26, 42's been 14. So I think the 41.5 on the under is very vital, and making sure that you get that number, just to be clear on how many times it does fall in that range, especially recently. And also, I'll give you one more. Cleveland home games, 22, 12, and 1 to the under since 2021. So what you see on the field has translated into the results. All right, lightning round time. So you're starting us off with, Vikings, Bengals. You're for everyone who doesn't know, you're a Vikings fan. You're seeing, and you seem to be a Carson Wentz lover. So you do love Carson Wentz. This feels like a great marriage. So what are you doing in this game?
Yeah, man, I'll be honest. I've been waiting for Carson Wentz to start a Vikings game for about a decade now. I followed this guy since high school in Bismarck, North Dakota, back at NDSU, leading the Bison to some championships. There's no way I'm not betting on Carson Wentz finally playing a game for the Vikings. And this actually, not a kitchen sink spot. This is my biggest spread difference of the week. So give me the Vikings. There is a -2.5 out there at ESPN Bet. I'll grab that if you can. Otherwise, -3, even odds at some books. Carson Wentz, Jake Browning, just the game we all hope for here, right? Look, this to me is all about how you evaluate those two quarterbacks and what it does to your power rating on the team. I don't want to hear about how good Jake Browning is or how he's maybe not even much of a downgrade from Joe Burrow. That's ridiculous. Joe Burrow is a top 4 quarterback in the NFL in a group with Lamar and Mahomes and Josh Allen. If one of those guys went out, we would just declare the season over for those teams. So why are we saying this is like, maybe still a 500 Bengals team? They'll just hang around. Okay, because 7 games we got from Browning before. How much credit are we really going to give for those 7 games? Undrafted guy, Jake Browning, has 7 starts with training wheels, basically. He gets 2 great receivers, which admittedly he gets them again here. But in those 7 starts, 7 interceptions, 21 sacks. It's not great, and we saw both of those mistakes come out last week. He goes 4-3. Congratulations. Here are the quarterbacks he beat. CJ Beathard, Gardner Minshew, Nick Mullins, and Jeff Driscoll. So backup quarterbacks facing backup quarterbacks. Now look, I hear you right now, listener at home. Add Carson Wentz to the list. He's not any better than the rest of those guys. I get it. I understand. I think Wentz, legit, is an upgrade on J.J. McCarthy. The way McCarthy has been playing so far, I'll be honest, Monday morning report, McCarthy, ankle, maybe out for a few weeks. The Vikings have this game and then 2 games overseas and a bye week. That screams convenient injury to me. Give our guy a little chance to catch his breath. Our line has not been great. We don't want to just totally lose you. We don't want to lose the locker room. Justin Jefferson would like a real quarterback to throw him some balls. Hey, Carson, why don't you play a few games for McCarthy? Carson can make some plays with his legs. He's going to give the receivers a chance. I like a backup quarterback that will chuck it up a little bit sometimes. More of a Case Keenum. Well, honestly, both quarterbacks here kind of give their guys a chance. Jefferson's going to get a few more chances here. I have the Vikings up half a point with Carson Wentz from McCarthy. I have the Bengals down 4 or 5 points at least from Burrow. I think it's a huge swing and not been adjusted enough in the books. Minnesota's defense has been bad, mostly the run D. Cincinnati is not going to hurt you that way. Their offensive line has been terrible. Rough first start for Browning on the road in Minnesota. In that sense, Minnesota's line has not been good. Maybe as bad as Cincinnati's. I'd love to see Christian Darrisaw out there. I'd love to see that. He is practicing a little bit this week, the left tackle. But the Bengals' defensive line has not been that great. If you can block Trey Hendrickson, you can probably get home there. I still make this Vikings over 7 points. So if you get this at the 3 or even below the 3, I still think it's a good spot. Don't forget, KOC has won 34 games the last 3 seasons. Over half of those games were started by the backup quarterback. This is what the team knows how to do. This, to me, is still a playoff contending Vikings team against what is a bottom 10 Bengals team now that they have Browning in the lineup with the bad defense, bad coaches, bad line. So give me the Vikings, -2.5 if you can, -3 if you need it. And I got the Carson Wentz jersey on today. No A.J. Brown. This is the real 11 Carson Wentz. I didn't get the Vikings yet, but we'll see. I know you'll love the stat, Evan. I'm sure you've seen it as well. Carson will make his 6th start in 6 seasons for 6 different teams. First guy in history to do that. Eagles, Colts, Commanders, Rams, Chiefs, and now the Vikings, his boyhood team. Miss me with the Carson Wentz bad numbers in these recent games. He's playing like week 18 with backups. Here's his top receiver his last 3 games. Nico Remigio for the Chiefs, Davis Allen for the Rams, and Logan Thomas for Washington. All right, may I introduce you to Justin Jefferson. This is a different animal entirely, and a little Wentz prop. I don't blame you if you don't want a tail. I'm the Wentz guy. There's no way I'm not playing this. Carson loves to call his own number at the goal line. That has been the staple time and again at NDSU. We've seen it in the NFL. He loves the QB draw, 5-1, anytime touchdown at DraftKings. And because I'm a sucker for the Cinderella story, a little nibble, Carson Wentz last touchdown with the Vikings win, the walk-off, 37-1. This is like a 0.1 unit. But Carson, come on, man. We've been waiting forever. This is his team. Let's see him have some fun.
Yeah, my first thought here when I looked at this matchup, especially when I saw the total dropping, was maybe the over, but it's gotten to 42.5, and I kind of wanted to see it dip a tiny bit more because I just see this game being kind of chaotic. When you've got Jake Browning with the 3 interceptions last week, 9.4% turnover worthy throw rate, which almost seems impossible. And then I think the biggest question for Wentz is pressure. So the last time we saw him get more than 1 start was 2022. In that year, his completion percentage, 71% when not blitzed, 67% in a clean pocket, went down to 59% on a blitz and 49% under pressure. So I think that is a real question here for Cincinnati's defense. And I don't necessarily think they can do it. So that's why I think your bet's fine. I just have no idea what's going to happen in this game. And I wanted the over because I see chaos, but I completely see your angle. All right, let's go to props now. And so we're already on the Jets in this game, but I think this prop has some good correlation. So what are you doing with Baker?
Yeah, speaking of turnover-worthy plays, let's go to Baker Mayfield. I want to play Baker to get an interception. So Baker so far, 2 late-game comebacks, no interception. Seems great, except for the fact that he has 6 turnover-worthy plays, which is tied with Bo Nix for most in the NFL. Bo Nix has looked awful if you've been watching him so far. There's only 6 guys in the NFL with even half that many turnover-worthy plays. So it's Baker, Bo, Tua, Geno, who looked terrible on Monday night, Bryce Young, and J.J. McCarthy. Oof, that is not a list of quarterbacks you want to be on. And I would say two or three of those guys won't even start all season probably. So give me the Baker interception because Jill would love this. We're getting plus odds on Baker Mayfield to throw a pick, plus 105. Thank you very much. I'll take that every time. He led the league in interceptions last year with 16. He's had at least 1 interception in 19 of 34 starts for the Bucs the last 2 seasons, so 56%. More than half the games both years. I know he hasn't had it yet, but he's chucking it up there, giving the defense a chance, as he loves to do. He's thrown 90 picks in 105 career starts, at least one, 57% of his starts. So basically the same number as the last couple years in Tampa. This should be a minus number, never a plus number for Baker. And again, like you said, it kind of fits the kitchen sink spot. We know Sauce Gardner and some of those other D-backs, how good they can be and make a play. And then, of course, a little nibble at some escalators here. At Bet365, you can play multiple interceptions, 2 or more, at plus 525. He did that 5 games last year, and he's done that 21% of his career starts. That would mean under plus 400. We're getting a little juice on the odds there. And if you like that, and if you like the Jets angle, it all goes together. In those games with multiple interceptions, Baker is 6-16 straight up. So 2 interceptions in a Jets loss, plus 2275 at Bet365. And then one last one, season leader bet. How about Baker for season leader interceptions as well? It's a weird market, as we know. You got to play long enough to not get benched. Baker's not getting benched. The leader in the market, we just talked about him. Jake Browning is your odds leader. I don't even know if Jake Brown's going to finish the season. Like, how we don't even know how much he's going to get to play, or if he's that bad, does he get to keep playing? Remember, Baker won this market, quote unquote, with 16 last year. He had a season with 14. He had one with 21. It's 25-1. Baker interceptions leader. I'll buy the dip. And what fun can you have other than an interceptions escalator on Baker and Mayfield? Just playing a little 500 ball and give the defense a chance.
Yeah, you mentioned almost all the stats. I'll say this, 13 throws of 20-plus yards, tied for most in the NFL. That without interceptions, it's leading towards that coming. So I completely see where you're coming from. The other bet I'll add to this, I feel like I have to play 2 interceptions, Jets money line, and Jets defense last touchdown. Like just to have that opportunity where you're just sitting there waiting and he already has one would just be fun to have. All right, you're on another prop here, and we're going back to Chicago and Dallas. This just makes sense. I mean, if you look inside the stats of Chicago, I mean, this guy is getting all the looks. I'll have some of the numbers after, but what are you doing with Rome?
Yeah, we're going to Rome. We're going for Rome Odunze, taking the receptions escalator. So we talked about this game already. Both defenses have been awful. They are number 1 and number 2 in fantasy points allowed, 2 receivers so far this season. Now let's remember who's Dallas played this season. Week 1, they played the Eagles, who are allergic to passing, and the Cowboys are still top 2 in most fantasy points allowed to receivers, even though Philly didn't pass so much because Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson combined for 17 catches, 309 yards last week. They both had double-digit targets. They both had at least 8 receptions. Dallas's top corner, Deron Bland, is out. Also, Odunze is a guy that I've been high on coming into the season. You watch the preseason games, he was the guy for Caleb Williams. He had showed great chemistry there, and it's been playing out. Week 1, 9 targets, 6 catches. Week 2, 11 targets and 7 catches. Last season, his rookie year, he only had 3 games all season over 7 targets. His best game was 6 receptions. That's his worst game now this season. So I think that he is, to me, the clear wide receiver 1 now, not DJ Moore. That was a guy that I liked in fantasy, and it's playing out so far. I think books have caught up. He looks like maybe even a top 10 fantasy guy going forward. DJ Moore, 11 targets total in 2 weeks, barely 100 yards for him. But both guys are right at the 4.5 receptions line. And I just think that line hasn't caught up to what's happening here. And we know how valuable it is to be wide receiver 1 in a Ben Johnson offense. You're going to get peppered with a lot of looks. I know Odunze is not Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not saying he is. But in the last 3 years, Amon-Ra is the go-to guy in a Ben Johnson offense, averaging almost 7 catches a game. He's gone over 4.5 catches, all but 9 games the last 3 seasons. So 6 catches or more, 3/4 of the time, 8 catches or more over 1/3 of the time. We're playing Rome Odunze over 4.5 receptions. It's minus 122 at FanDuel. So we're going to grab that one, and then we're going to take the escalator. Remember last year, we took the DJ Moore escalator. We hit that a couple of times. We had some fun with that. This is the no more gimmick, bubble screens and all that crap. This is a real receiver 1. We're seeing why he was a top 10 NFL draft pick. So escalator at 6, 7, and 8 catches. 6 catches is plus 165. 7 is plus 320, and 8 is plus 600. Remember, both Giants receivers hit that last week, and Amon-Ra hit those numbers 3/4 of the time at 6, 1/3 of the time at 8. So we're going to take that all the way to the top with Rome Odunze and hope for another big game and what should be more of a shootout this week.
Yeah, we're all off to Rome this weekend. I like this as well. I think, Rome has the most routes, highest average depth of target on the team, 8 more targets than Olamide and DJ. And to me, the icing on the cake is 14 first read and designated targets. They are actually looking in the playbook to get him the ball.
Yep.
That is what that tells me. So I like it as well. All right, you've got one more prop here. And we haven't touched this game yet, so I'm interested on what you like here. Rams, Eagles, you like a prop?
Yeah, I like Eagles. Eagles-Rams is a pretty interesting game this week. We saw that game twice last year, once in the playoffs. We've talked about how skeptical I am of the Eagles right now. Kevin Patila's offense, I'm not loving how run-heavy they are, but I can bet it. So let's take the Saquon Barkley rushing escalator. I lean Rams on the number in this game if I had to pick a side, but
Same.
I don't like the matchup for them. Specifically, the Rams' defensive line that is so good in some games is built on speed. They are small, speedy guys. The Eagles are built on ginormous power rushing on the offensive line. And both games we saw last year, this offensive line manhandled the small Rams defensive line. They played twice. Saquon Barkley ran for 460 yards in those 2 games last year. Regular season, 26 carries, 255 yards, and 2 scores. Then the playoffs, he matched it basically. 26 carries again, 205 yards, and 2 scores. First game, he has a run of 70 and a run of 72 yards. Second game, he has a run of 62 and 78 yards in the playoffs. That's 4 runs of 60 or more yards against one team last season. Rams defense has been elite against the pass, but pretty average against the run, and that's against the Titans and Texans, who are not good run teams. I'm not really in on the Eagles right now, but if they're good in this game, it's got to just be Saquon again. So here's how I'm betting it. A few different ways here, and I'm going to kind of take the escalator. I trust volume for Saquon more than anything else. The Eagles are so run heavy right now, and this matchup begs them to stay run heavy. So give me the 20 plus rushing attempts at plus 125 at Bet365, and then 25 rushing attempts is plus 550. So that's the first step of the escalator. He had 26 attempts both games last year. And now, if he gets that many attempts, now I'm banking on him cracking a long run or two. So here's where we go on the escalator from there. 150 yards plus 850. I don't want the median outcomes. If they bottle them up, I'm wrong. I'll lose my bets, and that's that. Longest rush. Give me the highest one out there. 50-yard rush or more, 14-1 at Bet365. And then over at DraftKings, 200 yards. Totally irresponsible bet, except for the fact he did it both games last year. It's 44-1. So just a little nibble at the top. We're going to need Saquon to have another 70-yard run or two to get that one. But I think they're going to feed him. And to me, it's the only thing the Eagles know how to do is feed Saquon and do a tush push. And this game is kind of the perfect spot for them to keep on doing it.
Yeah, it feels like this is probably one of the more fun bets you can root for this weekend because he's got to get the ball a ton in this matchup based on all the factors you said. I'll also say this. In the 2 games he faced the Rams last year, he had 13 first downs. That almost feels impossible, but he did so much work in those games. So got to assume Sirianni's going back to the bowl. All right, you have now a look ahead to week 4. Can't believe week 4 already. All right, we got to cherish each of these weeks. So what is your look ahead to week 4?
Well, I'll cherish the 49ers, the one team that got me a win last week. So I'm going to bet the 49ers week 4. 49ers -3 home against the Jaguars. It's -110 at FanDuel. Now, normally I look ahead. We're trying to get ahead of what's going to happen with this weekend's games. I just think that does sets up here. We talked about Jaguars earlier. Maybe they dropped to 1-2 with the Texans. Maybe we see some more cracks. We've seen Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, some kind of just weird, not quite on the same page there. Lawrence, I don't think, is not really playing that well or hitting his guys. I think that the defensive pressure up front will be looking very different this week and could be matched by both of the Niners. The Niners could be 3-0. All that's fine. My look ahead reason is Brock Purdy. More and more, I think it looks like Purdy's going to play next week. He's already practicing. This always looked like an injury that was more the 2-week variety than the 5-week variety when we got that coming out. So I make this without Purdy -5. With Purdy, that goes past the touchdown, and we're getting it at the -3 key number. Don't tell me Mac Jones is as good as Brock Purdy. Give Brock Purdy some credit here. Mac won the game last week, but right now he's 20th or worse in completion over expected, average depth of target, pressure to sack rate. He's 31st in that metric, near the bottom of the league. Purdy does a better job eliminating sacks. He can create a little bit more. And the Niners just a much better team. So at -3, I'm just going to get ahead of it and grab a line that I'm going to like even with Mac, but I'm going to love if I get Purdy. It worked for us on the Geno grab with Jaden Daniels this week. So we'll see if we can get ahead on another quarterback injury situation and get the line in our favor. Niners -3. Be sure to find the key number if you can.
Yeah, the whole goal here is the number. The look ahead in that game was 5.5. So find the 3, lock the 3. All right, that'll do it here on the Action Network podcast for our NFL Week 3 Best Bets episode. Do not forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app to see more from all of our Action Network contributors. And you want instant notifications when action experts track their bets? Go to actionnetwork.com/pro. Use the promo code POD20, POD20 for $20 off a year of Action Pro. And if you are on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days, we have a great new feature. If you see a bet from any of your favorite action experts or anyone on gambling Twitter, you can now tag @Playbook and tell your bot to build you a bet slip at a book of your choice. It will build it out for you with a quick slip link that opens right up to your sportsbook. So check it out, Playbook on Twitter. And again, if you want to tail some of the bets we gave out today, make sure to look for the quick slip link in the podcast and video descriptions or go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. We will be back Sunday night for our NFL recap show. That'll be live on Action Network's YouTube page shortly after Sunday Night Football. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the slate. Good luck with all your bets this weekend, and let's go cash some tickets.